welcome back to my channel, and thank you guys for your continued support as always. I'm so grateful for those who continue to keep up with my content week to week. So I thank you for that. And yeah, so this week has been really weird because of what's going on in Houston. My job hasn't really been, we haven't been working. So they would call us, they would be in the office, but they would call us and let us know if we got any business, and we wouldn't get any business. So they would just call us and let us know, hey, you don't need to return to work today. Well, you don't need to come to work today because we're not getting any business today because most of our clients are in Houston, because the main office is based up. Excuse me. Sorry guys, that's so disgusting. I'm sorry. I was drinking this smoothie and it just decided that it wanted to, make an appearance in this video. But anyway, yeah, so I just pretty much been on a little mini vacay and just working on my business. I don't see nothing wrong with it because it gives me time to think of and create content for you guys and come up with many ideas for my business. And so I'm okay with it. I'm not getting any PTO because I just started the job last week. So whatever, I'm cool with it. But anyways, enough of that. Let's get into the topic at hand. Now, my opinion today is going to be of the unpopular opinion, and this is a topic about sex and abstaining, because in dating, I think sex has become established as the thing that sustains relationships or things that help you gain a connection with someone. And while for some people, there may be exceptions to the rules where it might have worked for you. Majority, it hasn't worked for. So I'm going to give a disclaimer. This video is going to be for people who are Christians, who are true Christians and have a relationship with God and who are true believers. And the reason why I say that, have a relationship with God, because those are the people who are really trying to live by his word. And in the Bible, we all know fornication is a sin. Now, we're not going to get into all the semantics of things. We all know that sin is a sin. No sin is greater than the other. But we're talking about sex today in this video, so we're going to speak about fornication and how, as a Christian, you can't speak to having a real relationship with God if you are not trying to live by his word and truly live by his word. Now, it might sound judgy, but it's fact. And the reason why it's going to sound judgy to you is because you are participating in it. But don't take it as someone judging you. Taking it as, okay, in the Bible, it does say fornication is a sin. It does. So, and, although there are other sins, you don't have to have sex. You don't have to. You're not going to fall over and die if you don't have sex. Sex is a choice, and because a lot of people aren't able to have enough self-control, they feel like sex is, they don't know how to control themselves and not have sex to get to the ultimate goal. And so the other person that this will be for is someone who wants to be married. So someone who's a Christian and someone who wants to be married. Now, also, this could be for someone who wants to heal from soul ties and just in any internal issues that you may have. Because for one, I've chosen to abstain, and guys, I ain't perfect, Patty, here. I'm just speaking from what works for me, and I think that as a life coach, it's only right if I give the information to those who are really trying to figure out, what am I doing wrong? Like, why do I keep getting the same issues? I still have the same patterns in every situation. And so I'm speaking from that place. So if you don't feel like it's you and you feel like, hey, I'm good, whatever, that's your, that's you. But for those who really want to grow and learn from whatever past mistakes they made in relationships, and knowing that you've consistently been in relationships and have given yourself to someone and it still has not panned out to be what you thought it would be, this is for you. So that was my little disclaimer for those who want to come into the video and want to argue me down about, well, how are you going to know what it's like when you get with them? Well, most of us are not virgins, so we've had experiences that allow us to compare it to, you know, other experiences, and so that's why you're so worried about how it's going to be, because you're going to be trying to compare it to the experiences you had, which you shouldn't have had. But because you're not a virgin, and if you decide that you do want to abstain, now you have to go by, okay, if once I fall in love with this person, it's not going to be bad, because that's going to be the person for me, and we're going to understand each other's bodies enough to know that we can please each other, and that it will be good. So think from that place. Okay. So so my first point would be, sex is not a prerequisite. It is a bonus. So sex is not the cake. It is just the cherry on top. So after you've built this connection before sex, after you've built this connection, then that's when sex should come into play. Now, I'm going to, I guess, say this. If you get in a situation where you want to abstain, and you might want to abstain for, you know, a certain amount of months, and you're like, oh, I've abstained, which I feel like, you know, I still don't agree with. But if that, because we're human, I know that is sometimes it's not going to be just being realistic, because I'm a very realistic person. If you get into a situation where you feel like, okay, this person has been doing everything that he needed to do, I feel like it's the right time, I will say be safe about it. Because this person is not married to you, so you guys are still single. This person can still do what they want to do. So you don't know what this person is doing. Now, yes, someone could still be unfaithful in a marriage, but would you rather say that you're a boyfriend, you gave your body to a boyfriend, and now this is not someone who committed their life to you? I would rather go through issues, and I'm not saying I want to go through that, but I would rather, if I am going to go through issues, I want to go through issues with somebody who decided to commit their life to me. Even if we do go through issues, because no marriage is going to be perfect at all, regardless. So I do understand that people can do stuff inside of marriage, but if you are with a boyfriend, you don't lose anything if you don't give yourself to them, because you've understood, you've gotten to know them, you've taken you've been intentional, because that's the whole point, is being intentional and getting to know the person. Now that you've gotten to know the person, now it's like, okay, do I want to give myself to them? So once you give yourself that chance to get to know that person, now you can make the decision on if you really want to move on into that space of giving yourself to them. So my next point would be, the brain is the largest sexual organ. And the reason being is because that's where you actually become in tune with that person as their true self. You get to learn the person, and you get to understand the person as a human being. And so once you gain that, and I feel like I'm speaking from a passionate place, because I've been in situations with people where I've learned them as a person, and we've talked and we had great conversations, and I was okay with us not having sex. I was okay because they were mentally stimulating me, and we had so much chemistry in that it did not take sex for me to end up liking this person. Now, eventually we did have sex because of that connection, but it didn't work out because me and that person wasn't my person. And so that is just what it is. And it could also be because I had sex with that person. Your self-worth is not connected to having sex with anyone. And so for me, I think it's really about getting in tune with yourself first and knowing who you are. And I noticed that when I got in certain situations, and this might not be for you, it might be other things, but I got into a situation with someone, and I would kind of lose focus because I was so getting to a point where I was just like not really obsessed with the person, but we had created this strong connection. And mostly it was off of sex, because I noticed that there were some I noticed that once I stopped having sex with that certain person, I didn't like them after that. And I'm like, wow, we had such a strong connection when we were having sex. But when I got to, like, when I stopped having sex with them, I found myself not attracted to them at all, because it wasn't someone who I was in love with. Because mind you, think about this. If you were to get married and something was to happen to that person, and say they were to have a stroke or a heart attack or whatever, something that keeps them from having sex, if your foundation is based off of, and your chemistry is based off of you having sex, you really have nothing. And if you are in a relationship right now and you're having sex, take the sex off the table and see how much you like somebody or like that person. And I realized that once I got out of certain situations, I was like, I really didn't like this person. It was just the sex. But for me, I also was the type of person that got tired of people after a while. Like, once I seen it was not going anywhere, and so I love myself more than a sexual encounter. I just do. So yes, as a human being, I got trapped in the moment of doing what I thought was right to keep the situation going. But in reality, yeah, that person just wasn't for me, to be honest. I really didn't like the person themselves, because if I did, we would have continued, and I probably would have had another connection with them that made me want to stay around. But I didn't have another connection with them. We just only had a sexual, like, that's where most of our chemistry came from. So kind of sit back and think, hey, is, where is our chemistry really coming from? Are we really building a connection based off of getting to know each other? Are we really creating memories and getting to know each other as a person, as opposed to what they're able to deliver while having sex? I mean, it's a real question to ask yourself. And so we tend to not notice that these are some of the things that we're doing until we actually sit and think about them. Because we're so used to jumping in bed with somebody, and not to say you lead with sex, because that's not what that means. When I say you get with somebody and you want to have sex with them, that's not what I mean. I mean, we tend to date someone, we get to know them, and then once we feel comfortable with them enough, and we've been spending, because we feel like they've spent time with us, we owe them something. We owe them that. You don't owe them anything but your time. You don't owe a person sex because they've spent time and money on you. You don't. I'm sorry. But I don't feel like I have to. Now that I've known and I've grown, I'm knowing now that I don't owe anybody sex. So, which brings me to my next point. Sex does not determine your worth. You do not have to lay down with someone for them to get that, because if they didn't get it at first, they're not going to get it now. Like, you laying down with someone is not gonna, like, let me tell you why sex can be dangerous. I'm going to say this because it just made me think about this post that I seen this guy post on Twitter. He said that if you want to have good sex with somebody, reach out to somebody that was going where you guys have had issues and someone has to apologize for doing something wrong, and by the end of that conversation, and tell them you want to meet face to face, and by the end of that conversation, you guys are going to be choking, doing all types of wild, crazy sex. And it's like, you guys, that's why sex is dangerous. And I'm speaking to my women mostly, because sometimes I feel like a lot of women attach their worth to sex. And some men will use that against you. Some men will prey on that. Some men will prey on the fact that they know as a woman you desire to have someone. Even if you don't feel like you need someone, but you might desire it. So, and if, just saying, like, most of us want love, I would say. I guess I'll say that. Most of us want love. We might not be searching for it. We might not be searching for it. It might just find us. But when it finds us, are we gonna just say no to it or give it up? I don't think no human being is just gonna say no to it if it presents itself. So sometimes a guy will prey on that if they know that you, especially if you feel like you're abstaining. And some guys will see that as a challenge. That's why you shouldn't also tell a guy that you're abstaining, because they'll see that as a challenge. And then what if you end up breaking down one day and be like, you know what, it's been cool, we've been kicking it, and then you decide that you want to give him yourself, and then he's like, okay. And also, this is something I heard from Tony Gaskins about fornication kills your witness. It does kill your witness, because they're like, okay, you're supposed to be a Christian, and in the Bible, and this is for people who, because I had an ex who literally knew the Bible, and he's like, well, if you're a Christian, then why you such and such and such? So there are people who prey on people who say that they're Christians, and you might not know this, and you tell them that you're abstaining or that you're a virgin or whatever the case may be, and then you go and lay with them and have sex with them, and then they're like, oh, but I thought you was a Christian though. And that's why I don't believe in it. So, and so that's why that's what I mean by, that's what Tony Gaskins, when he said that, that's what I took from it, is fornication kills your witness, because you say that you're supposed to be a Christian, but you're having sex before marriage. But now you're saying that you want to have sex and you're changing your mind. So you don't tell someone that you're abstaining, just keep, turning them down from it. And not to say you're not going to have your weak moments. It's a temptation. You're going to have weak moments. But that's the part about self-control, and that's about doing something different that you've never done. So for some people, they're going to be like, I'm not going to be able to do that, because it's just because we're so used to doing something a certain way, and it's going to be scary to not do it the other way. And because we tend to think that sex is what's going to keep a person. No, it's not, because how many people are getting cheated on now, or being broken up with now? Because not even in a marriage is going to keep a person. Because if something happens to that, because that's why people cheat. Because, and also I would say this another reason why people cheat is because they didn't teach themselves self-control outside of marriage. So when they got into the marriage with the person and they cheated, is because, possibility, not saying this is with everybody, but because they didn't try abstaining, or they never had any kind of self-control. They've never tried to hold themselves back from that temptation or the lust. So when they got into the marriage, it was easy for them to fall into cheating on the person, because they never tried to test out their self-control. So I just think we all should try this. And, if you feel like that is not going to work for you, then, like I said, we all have free will. God all gives us free will to do whatever. And, there are exceptions to the rules. God may have provided his grace to some people and allowed them to find the person they're supposed to be with, even while having sex, before marriage. But don't always look at someone else's story and make that yours, because, it just might not work the same for you. And also, if you've been having the same patterns, don't continue those same patterns with trying to become, or try to create this new person that you're trying to be, and thinking those same patterns are going to work for this new person that you're trying to be, because it's not. So I think I'm more so saying that maybe trying this will give you a whole new perspective and allow you to think more clear when it comes to choosing people. Because then you're able to go into situations and not overlook red flags that you probably would have overlooked if you were having sex with them. So yeah, it's not easy to tell people when you're living in a world full of temptation and the way societal norms are set up that, you know, just don't do it or you're going to hell. Because that's, I mean, not having sex is not going to make you go to hell, because Jesus already died on the cross for your sins. So it's not hard to come back from. You can always start over. And because God has provided you his grace, doesn't mean you can be going all willy-nilly in these streets and just be busting it open and saying, oh God, forgive me every chance you get. But it's just to understand that, you know, you're not going to go to hell. But do keep in mind some of the consequences that can come with it if you decide to have sex outside of marriage and the things that can happen. Like having a baby with someone and end up becoming a baby mama. Now, we all go into situations not expecting it to end out that way. So I'm not saying that nothing is wrong with it, but just to avoid it, by all means, if you can. If that's already your situation, hey, it's already your situation. We all make decisions in certain moments because we think we love someone or want to be with someone, and things happen. And there are also diseases. Now, I don't want to shame anyone, because there are people that have been in situations where their intentions were pure when getting with someone, and maybe they've gotten into a situation and the person did not tell them what their status of certain situations were. And so those situations do happen. But I will say, protect yourself, and also do this. My dad and his late wife, both of them, before they got married, they went and got tested together. They both went to the doctor together, got tested, and came back, you know, and from what he told me, it was her that came up with the idea to do that, to make sure both of them were, you know, clean. So I say this to say, you know, just guys, be safe out here. And because I know that it's trust me, guys, I'm like I said, I'm not coming from a judging place, because I do understand things happen. So if you do find yourself with someone and that does happen, don't blame yourself. Now, if it's a situation where you've created that environment for yourself, I still don't want to shame you, but I will say it should be a teaching moment. But if you got into a situation where you were just like an innocent person in the situation and the person did not tell you, and you knew yourself, you knew your body and what you had going on, but, you know, you guys didn't really have a discussion to know what they had, you know, didn't really have a deep, because sometimes we don't notice those conversations that needed to be had, because we are getting to know someone and we like them. So we want to trust that what they say is fact. And sometimes this is mostly happens when we are naive in the dating world. So sometimes we can find ourselves caught up in those situations. So it happens. But like I said, guys, be safe, because that's the number one priority. Always think about yourself first in those situations. If you love yourself enough, say, hey, because I know a lot of people don't have no one teaching them this, because everybody's just saying don't have sex, but they don't know people, you know, it's human nature to want to do that. But if you're going to do it, and it's unrealistic to tell to everyone in the world is not going to just start having sex because I said stop having sex, or because the next person said stop having sex. So you have to also speak from a place of teaching people why you're saying this, and if they have put themselves in a situation that may have caused whatever it caused, you know, in that space of, you know, when it comes to diseases and things like that, to sexually transmitted diseases, what to do in that case, or what to do to prevent it. And so, yeah, so guys, that's that on that. So do understand that, because even in, you don't know what someone's thinking 100% of the time. Before you met them, you don't know what they were doing 100% of the time. And people are only going to show you their representative. They're not going to give you all of the information sometimes, because sometimes people are selfish in that way. And so you're not going to know them. You're not going to even know your partner when you're married with them, when you get married to them 100%, because it's a steady growth thing. So you're going to still be getting to know your partner. But I will say, just so for whoever gets a hold of this video, to before you get married or even before you start dating and decide to have sex, take a test, both of you together. And that should eliminate some of the things. Now, that can't prevent anything from happening in the future, but at least you tried to protect yourself initially and you were intentional about it. So if someone was to do something to you in a way to harm you in that way, because they weren't being safe, then that's not on you. And, things do happen. So that's another very important thing when it comes to sex you guys need to be mindful of. I would just say try this, guys, and if it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You're not going to lose anything from trying it. You're not going to lose anything from trying something that you've never done before. Because if what you were doing before wasn't working, then was it going to hurt to try something else? And I'm a life coach. So like I said, I speak off experiences, and I'm not speaking from a place that I don't know. I've been in situations with people where I really like them, and I continuously gave my body to them, and I was coming from a genuine place of getting to know them. Now, I did have situations where they were just like situationships. I'm going to speak on that in another video. I'm going to do a separate video on that. And situationships and friends with benefits. And I've had situations like that. Yeah, I did. But there were situations. And so those situations, they count because they're still soul ties. But I didn't grow a huge emotional attachment because I knew what those situations were. But you still gain soul ties. And then also you just giving your body to somebody who you're not even committed to or you want to be with. So you're just having sex and it's not healthy or productive. But like I said, I've also had other situations where I really liked the person. I was genuine and I was giving myself to them, but they weren't 100% sure about me. And you don't know if a person is 100% sure about you because your mind is so clouded by the sex. And yeah, they might keep coming back because the sex might be good, but that don't mean they see you as their husband or wife. So, that don't mean they see you as someone they want to be with long term. But I'm going to speak from a married place because I'm not going to be with nobody for years and years and years and not get married. I'm just being honest. I'm just not doing that, especially with me being a Christian. I'm just not going to do that. Because if that's the case, I'm just going to be single and I'll abstain. And I've come to realize that I'm okay with that without having sex, to be honest. Like, I've been in relationships with people and I don't mind having sex, but I come to find out, that don't be the most important thing for me. Like, after I have sex with a person, I'm like, okay, now what? Because if I don't like you as a person, I'm still not going to end up being with you in the end. And so, and that's what pretty much happened with my ex. Like, after a while, the sex was good, but I kind of got tired of him. And I started to learn that I didn't like him as much as I thought I did. But just because a guy or a woman desires sex don't mean that they're not going to wait if they feel like you're the person for them. Because no person is perfect, even a good man, or, they're still going to, in the back of their mind, going to want to have sex. But if they really respect you enough, they'll wait. They'll wait. And that'll also weed out the person that is not for you. Because if they don't want to wait, that means, okay, that person was never for me in the first place. So you get a win-win in that situation. So yeah, guys, keep that in mind. Thank you guys for watching again. And I know a lot of people are not going to agree with this video, and that's okay. I've been abstinent, since August of last year after I broke up with my ex. So, I've been cool with it, and I've been able to stay clear-minded and focus on the stuff I need to focus on. But if you want one-on-one coaching, I am on mymentor.life at Rochelle Demetrius. I'll put the link down in the description box below. You can follow me on Instagram, all of those good things. And guys, until next time, be blessed.